Good morning, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're in a good mood, feeling right. It is 8:48 in the morning, feeling fresh, feeling good, and I hope that you are as well. Today, let's take a listen. Tristan and Isolde, we're going to listen to Prelude and Liebestod. This is by Wagner, of course. This was originally written, conceived in 1854, and looks like it had its premiere in 1865 originally. We're listening to this because it was suggested and sponsored by Sylvain. Sylvain, thank you so much for the recommendation, and I appreciate the support as well. We're listening to this recording via the Berliner Philharmonica, which we have listened to before, which was led by Karajan as well. Okay, so Tristan and Isolde, I don't really know anything about the story behind it. I don't know anything really, period, I guess you could say. This is kind of related, but I guess it's related. Back in the early 2000s or something like that, there was a movie that came out, and I remember seeing advertisements for the movie Tristan and Isolde, but I never saw it. I never paid that much attention to it around the time. So that's like all I know of Tristan and Isolde. I couldn't even tell you what the story's about. I'm pretty sure, at least from what I remember of the trailer, it kind of looked like a Romeo and Juliet-esque kind of tale, but I could be 100% wrong. Matter of fact, I probably am. But before we dive into some more of the story and such and try and learn it, let's listen to the music first, and then we'll discuss it right after. Here we go. out that second half. He's rushing forward more. It's like he's always trying to break through. Just a little bit stronger, just a little bit more. Flurries. Building into that dramatic head. Waves against the rocks. Maybe this next part is the Liebestod. Liebestod. These little bits of harp that you hear in here. Each string hints at a little drama. That vibration is sharp. Spinning. one last come around. It's just a little bit past 9 o'clock in the morning, and this is beautiful wake up music. That's what I feel when I listen to this. Like, it just feels good in like waking up. It's not overly dramatic. It's not so tempestuous or so. It's just very, very gentle for the most part in the vast sweepings of the strings and all the instruments. The first part, you can kind of clearly hear the space between the prelude and the Liebestod. And I like how the prelude is there's nothing overly distinct in my ear about it, but it's just gentle inhales and exhales of strings and instrumentation. And I really do enjoy how, as it develops, maybe about 5 minutes or so after the duration, how you begin to hear this kind of trailing that's happening. It's like one of the lead instruments kind of gently starts a melody, an inhale, and then it exhales. And then the next inhale of instrumentation is stronger, much more rich and dramatic, and it adds a certain flair that follows afterwards. It's kind of like, I don't know why, but this is how I thought about it. It was like if in an army, I'm thinking like a medieval kind of army or so, you have the scout. The scout is sent ahead to purvey or survey the battlefield, see where the enemy's locations are, see what's going on. The scout goes ahead on his own, and that acts as that kind of singular or more gentle harmony in the music. Then it comes back to the army, reports to the captain, and then the army moves forward. That's when the rest of the instrumentation follows that similar path, that similar melody and rhythm and such, but just gives it that much more. So I like that dynamic that was happening in the first part. I thought that was really, really nice. And I felt that was like always kind of pulling me forward and making me want to hear, oh, here comes the army of music. I wonder how they're going to approach this. And it was so cool how each time it seemed like they brought a little bit more with them, some more reinforcements every time those waves came through. And then at the end, as you clearly heard, those waves eventually crashed against the rocks, and it really hit a beautiful kind of head out there. You had the drums, which played a brief little fill, and then it washed itself away. I thought that was a really nice way of kind of making this push and pull kind of motion, and every time it pushed a little bit further until eventually it broke against those rocks there. Then you had that little bit of gap, and then it moved into, I'm assuming, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. It moved into the Liebestod part, and this one followed a somewhat similar pattern, but not so much of a push and pull. This one definitely had a little bit more instrumentation happening, some more slightly complex things as far as to my ear, to my novice ear. But this one played in a little bit more of a dramatic fashion. This one sounded like it was made really with theater in mind, and it sounded like the ending, which, as far as I can tell, this kind of is the ending. This particular part of the play. I haven't even, or of the drama. I haven't even looked at it, like the Wikipedia article. Tristan and Isolde is a music drama in 3 acts. Okay, so like I didn't even look at that necessarily. So I think that this acts as a nice conclusion, this final part, to kind of bring things down while still tying up those loose ends and add a little bit of dramatic spark into the music at this particular point. Now, I will admit, and to be honest, as a whole, I did feel the whole piece was a little bit lacking for me. There wasn't something that stood out in a big way or like just grabbed me besides, oh, this sounds nice. That's like, in my opinion, like that's what I felt listening to this. This sounds nice. But I felt like it was, for me, I'm only speaking for myself, it was missing something to grab me or really like impress me, I suppose is what I kind of felt. Like I said, I enjoyed this, but I felt like I wanted to be grabbed a little bit more, and nothing quite did that. But let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about this. So it's a music drama in 3 acts, of course, as I mentioned, loosely based on Gottfried von Strasberg's medieval 12th century romance Tristan and Isolde. First conceived in 18 that is. The music was composed between 57 and 59, 18 that is. While it's performed by opera companies, Wagner preferred the term Handlung, German for plot or action, for Tristan to distinguish its structure of continuous narrative flow, as distinct from that of conventional opera at the time, which consisted of recitatives punctuated by showpiece arias, which Wagner regarded with great disdain. He did not like that. It says it was inspired in part by the philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer and by Wagner's relationship with his muse Mathilde Wesendonck. It features existential themes such as that of mankind's insatiable striving and the transcendental nature of a love beyond death, which the Liebestod, that means love death, actually. Interesting enough. Let's see. It incorporates spirituality from Christian mysticism as well as Vedantic and Buddhist metaphysics subjects that interested Schopenhauer. It was one of the earliest Western artists who used concepts from the Dharmic religions in their work. It's usually acknowledged as one of the greatest achievements in Western art music, intriguing audiences with philosophical depths not usually associated with opera, and the terrible and sweet infinity of its musical, poetic language. Advanced harmony, immediately announced the Tristan or by the Tristan chord of its prelude, marks a defining moment in the evolution of music. Let's click on that. Let's learn a little bit. The original Tristan chord is heard in the opening phrase. Okay, well, we listen to that. It's made up of those notes. Let's give it a listen. Okay, so that's the chord, huh? So what's so special about that? The notes of the Tristan chord are not unusual. They can be respelled enharmonically to form a common half diminished. Okay. What distinguished the Tristan chord is its unusual relationship to the implied key of its surroundings. Is it that? That part, right? Like it kind of comes out of nowhere. It almost like it feels like it doesn't fit in there. Is that what this is implying? I think so. Like almost like it adds this kind of unexpected uneasiness in that particular moment. I think that's what it means. The Tristan's chord significance is in its move away from the traditional tonal harmony and even towards atonality. With this chord, Wagner actually provoked the sound or structure of musical harmony to become more predominant than its function. It's in its identifiable sound and its entity beyond its functional qualities in a tonal organization. So it's not the chord itself, it's how it was used in accordance.
Please clap.
With the surrounding chorus and the surrounding melodies. I'm pretty sure that's. Listen, when it comes to the specifics and technicalities, that sometimes is a little bit beyond me, but I think that's kind of what it's implying there. Let's see. Wagner was forced to abandon his position as conductor of the Dresden Opera in 18 that is, as there was a warrant for his arrest for his participation in the unsuccessful May Revolution. All right, well, that's not good. Let's see. Though Wagner was working on his epic, The Ring Cycle, he found himself intrigued by the legend of Tristan and Isolde. You know, I've always heard of The Ring Cycle, and isn't it like 15 hours long? Now, that's a long song Saturday. According to his autobiography, Wagner decided to dramatize the Tristan legend after his friend Carl Ritter attempted to do so. He had, in fact, made a point of giving prominence to the lighter phases of the romance, whereas it's all-pervading tragedy that impressed me so deeply that I felt convinced it should stand out in bold relief regardless of minor details. He said, I'm going to adapt this for myself. He says, never in my life having enjoyed the true happiness of love, I shall erect a memorial to this loveliest of all dreams in which, from the first to the last, love shall for once find utter repletion. I have devised in my mind a Tristan and Isolde, the simplest yet most full-blooded musical conception imaginable, and, with the black flag that waves at the end, I shall cover myself over to die. It's very interesting. Let's see. Let's look at some of the significance and stuff here. Okay, as he says, the opening chords of Tristan were to the last half of the 19th century what Beethoven's Eroica and Ninth Symphonies had been to the first half, a breakaway, a new concept. Harmonic relations are pushed to their breaking point, and 20th century scholars see the opera the beginnings of atonality. See, like, even though, I always said, like, the piece in some capacity seems simple, but there's a complexity down there. Sometimes you just got to dig into those depths. Wagner uses a remarkable range of orchestral color, harmony, polyphony, and a freedom rarely found in earlier operas. It's noted for its numerous expansions of harmonic practice. One significant innovation is the frequent use of 2 consecutive chords containing tritones, neither of which is diminished 7th chord. Notable for harmonic suspension, a device to create musical tension through a series of prolonged, unfinished cadences, inspiring desire and expectation for musical resolution. Okay, so basically in that first part, in the prelude, as those waves are going back and forth, those waves always pull away and pull back before they reach that climax, that suspension. I think that's kind of what what they're saying here. It's a common compositional device in use since before the Renaissance, but Wagner was one of the first composers to employ harmonic suspension over the course of an entire work. The cadences first introduced in the prelude are not resolved until the finale of Act 3. I got you. I see. Debussy was deeply influenced by Wagner, particularly this. However, he later distanced himself from Wagner, made to consider his opera pellet. Aaron Copland wrote that Arnold Schoenberg's that is clearly inspired by Tristan, moving into a realm where the normal rule of harmony, dissonance begetting consonance in an orderly progression, were no longer the only formula for creating music. He created something different. The chromaticism influenced the development of film music. You could absolutely hear this in a very cinematic quality as well. That is for sure. That's really, really interesting. And then I had this article pulled up for the Liebestod as well. It says, often given to the final dramatic music or aria from the opera. It's the climactic end of the completed opera as Isolde sings over Tristan's dead body. Here we heard the instrumental version, but there's some singing involved. Maybe that's what I was missing. In fact, Wagner called the Prelude the Liebestod, while his final piece he entitled the Verklarung, Transfiguration. The confusion in title comes from an 1867 transcription his father-in-law, Franz Liszt, made, which he called Liebestod. He prefaced his score with a 4-bar motto from the love duet from Act 2, which in the opera is sung to the words that. Liszt's transcription became well known throughout Europe well before Wagner's opera reached most places, and it is Liszt's title for the final scene that persists. It was revised in 18, that is, and it's often used in film and television productions of doomed lovers. I can see that. I can absolutely see that. You know, this would make like great sense, like I said, in a cinematic context, you know, using TV and movies and plays and theater and such, because it does have a lot of room that's left in it for the actors and actresses to do their thing, or for the singers, of course, who sing over it as well. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments down below. I hope that you enjoyed the music. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Sylvain, thank you once again so much for the support and for the recommendation. And I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you later. Bye.